Somewhere inside you, a small voice still calls out. Not loudly, not with words, but in feeling. It's the quiet ache you carry in silence, the need for safety, for softness, for someone who stays. We call it the inner child, but it's more than memory. It is the part of you that never stopped hoping. Tonight, we sit beside that child, not to fix, not to change, only to listen, to be the warmth that was missing, the home that never arrived, because the child within you never left, and perhaps they are still waiting to be held. Let us softly wander back to the cradle of consciousness, where the first whispers of existence begin. Here, in the sacred silence before words, the seeds of our inner journey take root, nurtured by the gentle rhythms of unspoken emotion and early connections. In this primordial realm, our young selves crafted a fragile understanding of love and safety beneath the watchful gaze of caregivers. And yet, amid this tender awakening, the silent voids, the moments where love should have met us and didn't, sowed the first seeds of misunderstanding. They were not grand traumas, but subtle misalignments, an absent gaze, a hurried touch, shaping our earliest impressions of self-worth. In this delicate garden of initial experiences, a blueprint of emotional survival began to trace its invisible lines. Here, the pre-verbal language of heart and soul spoke through a series of exchanges, each moment an opportunity for nurturing or neglect. We met our caregivers not in words, but through feelings and energies, absorbing every nuance as if they were truths. In these early exchanges, the coherence of love and fear intertwined. And where warmth waned, the child perceived a lack of love. No scars were visible to the outside world. Emotional neglect left behind whispers rather than screams, nurturing shadows over self-worth and leaving a profound emptiness. It is this void, the love that was absent, the praise that never came, that quietly etched the language of inadequacy into the depths of our being. Survival became a paradox. To be loved, the child believed that parts of themselves must be hidden, layered under masks of competence and roles crafted for acceptance. These masks, though protective, birthed an inner orphan, an aspect of self-yearning for recognition and belonging. As the tapestry of childhood woven with unmet needs unfolded, the child within held on to a false narrative. If I am not loved, something is wrong with me. The need for love became conditional. Validation was a prize given only to the fragmented self, crafted to please the world. This belief played out in the subconscious theater, an invisible director orchestrating the ways we connected with ourselves and others. Across time, this pursuit of conditional love overshadowed authenticity, breeding fear and hesitation. The unseen presence of this inner child is ever watchful, echoing through moments of fear, joy, and irrational impulses. A quiet guardian, waiting for acknowledgement. Recognizing this presence doesn't transport us back into childhood, but invites us to reconcile with the undeveloped aspects of our identity, allowing us to engage with it in a state of loving acceptance. The myths of separation emerge, not just physically, but emotionally, silent incisions, rendering us apart from our inherent completeness. Every unmet need carved a deeper divide, compelling the child towards withdrawal. Instead of feeling fragmented, the child learned to perceive these pieces as lost treasures awaiting reclamation. These separations orchestrated a haunting refrain. Yet, within this chronicle of splintering, the child within has never been lost. Ever present, the child is a timeless whisper in our soul, a specter from the past guiding us toward wholeness in quiet, unrelenting patience. This child's timeless presence calls to us, a guide to reshape, understand, and integrate these scattered pieces into the quilt of our existence. The journey ahead beckons not to rewrite, but to reclaim the threads of innocence, transforming them into a tapestry of compassion and reconnection. Let us set forth with intention, not to mourn the forgotten, but to embrace what was always there, the essence of the child within, awaiting the touch of realization and the kindness of our acknowledgement. Through this exploration, we find not despair in the unhealed parts of our story, but an opportunity for healing and reunification. In rediscovering the forgotten narrative of the inner orphan, we embrace the gentle journey of becoming whole, igniting a path lit by understanding, resilience, and the promise of profound personal power. In the quiet corners of our early memories, words unspoken often echo louder than any lullaby once sung. Here in these silent exchanges lies the artful dance of expectation, woven not with tender affirmations, but with the subtlety of glances and the weight of unarticulated desires. A parent's eyes may speak volumes, conveying a disappointment far deeper than words, casting a shadow that lingers within one's developing self. The understanding of love and acceptance as fragile, contingent promises settles in, whispering to the child a haunting lullaby of inadequacy. These inaudible dialogues permeate early life, nestling deep within the consciousness, shaping the stories we carry into adulthood. Inherited wounds travel quietly along the delicate threads of family connections, binding one generation softly to the next. These whispers of past unspoken become part of the child's narrative, a collection of internalized mysteries spun from the unresolved emotions of those who came before. They shape realities, birthing cycles of behavior that cling to survival shadows, confining the emerging self within outdated walls. To simply acknowledge these specters is not enough. Instead, a patient contemplation must unfold, embracing the truth within and accepting the ghosts that have found sanctuary in one's bones. Generational trauma tiptoes through time, its steps resonating with the pangs of displacement, the quiet burdens of shame, and the unseen scars of past hardship. This spectral echo binds the child through invisible strings, linking them inexorably to the lineage whence they came. Silent yet powerful, it impresses upon the family an unspoken doctrine of caution and veiled grief, coloring the world with the hues of ancestral fears. With each word of warning, each cautionary tale offered, the child is gently groomed to peer at life through lenses molded by the past. The chains of such generational wounds can be heavy, but recognition offers a profound threshold to liberation. Examining these threads within the tapestry of family lore provides the space to untangle from inherited narratives that hinder growth. This journey of understanding demands no blame, only a courageous passage toward freedom, an invitation to decide anew what shall remain as part of one's legacy. As these spectral figures of the nursery are tenderly laid to rest, we are gifted glimpses of a new story, woven with insight and grace for the generations yet to weave their own tales. From the earliest exchanges, children learn that honest expression is not always met with safety. This realization fashions what D.W. Winnicott called the false self, an armor donned to navigate a world intuitive and complex. This mask, a carefully crafted avatar, protects the young heart but also ensnares it, concealing authentic cries beneath layers of careful adaptation. Over time, the dance of this false self grows sophisticated, a choreography of societal echoes woven with ancestral demands for acceptance. Yet, the performance of this false self ultimately widens the gulf between true self-awareness and acceptance. To heal is to embark on a gentle unmasking, an earnest embrace of the spirit hidden beneath. This slow unraveling reintroduces us to the wild, untamed self that pens diligent whispers within. As these layers are meticulously peeled away, there emerges a fragile reunion with authenticity, a homecoming to the self adorned in the light of truth. Like currents unbroken by time's passage, inherited guilt and shame find their way through lineage, seeped into the fabric of family life. These emotions impose a silent, enduring weight, tracing paths across the fertile ground of a child's perception. Carried unknowingly into maturity, they obscure self-worth and autonomy, weaving a tapestry of doubt and subjugation to patterns laid by others' unhealed wounds, at times masked as virtue. These emotions spur undue giving and caring, fueling cycles of exposure to unspoken servitude. To release these ghosts is to decipher between the burdens of ancestry and the truths of the heart. Stepping through the veil of inherited emotions, individuals can create boundaries where once stood obligation born from antiquated shadows. Freed from this submerged weight, the gentle act of recognizing one's true worth begins, transforming the legacy of shame into a powerful catalyst for healing and redemption. In families, silence serves as both shield and spear, a haven for suppressed emotions and a barrier to growth. For the child wandering in such quiet, this vacuum spells emotional neglect, shaping understanding and identity from whispers of absence. These shadows, darker than sound, harbor fears that weave into the very fabric of existence. Confronting this silence is a rite of passage, a reconciling of the power it holds. By inviting the shadows into a dialogue of kindness, they yield their hold, transmuting into understanding. Within this self-discovery, authenticity emerges unchained, finding voice and presence amid the shadows once cloaked in silence's heavy shroud. Navigating one's existence evolves into an intricate dance between generational wisdom and the tender whispers of originality. Ancestral lessons carried within are rock and refuge both, offering insight from paths well trodden. To embrace their wisdom is to recognize the sorrows and triumphs interlacing across generations, lifting ancient stories revered not as manacles, but as maps illuminating the way forward. A journey embracing complexities, enriching life with lessons anew. In the delicate dawn of life, a child's world unfolds as a mysterious tapestry of sensations and emotions, where safety and love are woven with threads of the unknown. The young soul learns early that survival in this tapestry depends not merely on physical sustenance, but on navigating the intricate dance of emotional acceptance. Like a seed growing amidst the shadows of towering trees, the child learns to read the unspoken rules written by their caregiver's actions, facial expressions, and silences. Adaptation becomes an essential ally, where the art of changing colors like a chameleon becomes a subtle symphony of survival. The absence of warmth might compel them into a silence and unintentional freeze within themselves to keep the tenuous connection alive. In this journey of becoming, adaptation demands a delicate rewriting of self. It requires casting aside dreams and suppressing unspoken truths, transforming them into whispers within their own consciousness. The young heart learns that the storms of others' emotions can shape the tides of their own existence. Survival becomes an education unlike any other, a dance not inscribed in books, but in the gentle arch of an eyebrow or the clipped tone of a voice. Emotional suppression is cultivated like a secret garden, a place where hidden desires and true feelings are tucked away beneath the surface, not by choice but necessity. This unfolds a pattern of resilience and self-erasure that weaves itself through the fabric of their being, a quiet ritual that reminds them of the parts that must remain concealed to secure love or simply be seen. People-pleasing emerges from this intricate weave as a lifeline, an invisible shield against the tempests of discord. To please is not just a tactic but a lifeline, a gentle art of bending and swaying to maintain harmony, sublimating personal needs and discomforts for the sake of peace. Beneath the friendly facade, a profound saga of self-sacrifice gently unfolds, where genuine emotions are traded for moments of approval. This story flows into the wisdom of the body, a sacred library where every moment is recorded in the quiet language of tension, unrest, and unease. While the mind clings to strategies of survival, the body becomes a messenger of hidden truths, echoing distress in the subtle language of discomfort. Within its whispers lies the key to reconnection, a beacon guiding the journey from unconscious reaction to conscious choice. Amid this resilience, hypervigilance emerges as a vigilant guardian, an ever-watchful sentinel standing at the boundaries of emotional safety. It develops when unpredictability rules, when each smile hides an impending storm. This heightened alertness is not rooted in paranoia, but a defense born of necessity, an attempt to preemptively navigate inevitable upheaval. As the child scans the horizon for signs of change, each gesture, tone, and expression becomes a potential harbinger of emotional turmoil. Though such vigilance protects, it also binds, caging them within a relentless cycle of tension. Understanding that this state is a strategy for survival can unlock empowerment, gently unwinding the coil of constant alertness, embracing instead the rhythms of peace. Yet, another layer unfolds within this story, the role of emotional suppression, a contract silently forged with oneself, aiming to keep overwhelming emotions at bay. As children weave their way through life's landscapes, they discern which emotions are welcome and which must be silenced. Fear, anger, and sadness become hidden treasures, tucked away in recesses perceived as threatening or indicative of failure. Over time, a delicate tension forms between these suppressed emotions and their unyielding desire to be heard. This bottled turmoil manifests in unseen ways, influencing mood and introspection. The recognition of this cyclical narrative becomes essential to transforming emotionally suppressed patterns, like unlocking a treasure chest where vulnerability releases hidden wealth. In a theater of life, masks appear, outward expressions cloaking an array of internal conflicts and desires. Each mask reflects a carefully curated adaptation: the obedient child, the agreeable friend, the overachiever. Tremors of unseen truths ripple beneath these facades, creating a schism between internal reality and public portrayal. Acknowledging this cleavage holds the key to healing, as authenticity emerges as the harmonizing force, uniting fragmented personas. The patterns of childhood, carefully crafted in the crucible of necessity, are not inherent flaws, but considerate scripts for navigating an unpredictable world. Reassessing these patterns requires insightful courage, transforming deep-rooted instincts into empowered choices. Just as the chameleon changes its colors, individuals can slowly evolve from reflexive reactions toward a holistic self anchored in autonomy. Within this tender journey of transformation, individuals touch upon the remarkable resilience possessed even in youth. The profound ability to reflect and respond is a testament to their capacity for growth, planted deep within those early tender adaptations. Embracing this innate wisdom nurtures a landscape where exploration and discovery lead to paths previously unknown. As past survival rituals slowly metamorphose into conscious practices, a new dance emerges, one marked by intention, exploration, and liberation. Unveiling the past becomes a respectful step toward new beginnings, where vulnerability is embraced and intrinsic worth becomes a beacon illuminating unfamiliar paths. Through this embrace, the unvoiced and forgotten find expression, fostering a realm ripe for innate exploration. The final act of this sacred journey is integration and empowerment. Here, wholeness is not a destination, but a path, winding gently through the valleys of self-discovery. Masks dissolve, facades crumble, and a genuine identity emerges from the shadows, delicately adorned with self-worth and sovereignty. Survival rituals give way to uninhibited expressions of the authentic self, where inherited constraints fall away like faded leaves on an old trail. As individuals harmonize with their innate core, empowerment blossoms, releasing the true nature of their being with each gentle, transformative step toward integration. In the vast landscape of our minds, a delicate ballet unfolds, a performance that disguises itself as the essence of our identity. As young souls navigating the uncertain waters of life, we adopt roles that shield us from the harsh winds of rejection and perceived danger. These roles become intricate masks, seamlessly woven into our being, so much so that we often mistake them for who we truly are. With each step away from our core essence, the mask tightens, becoming less a garment we wear and more a part of our very skin. The world often applauds these facades: the attentive student, the compliant child, the ever-giving friend. Yet beneath these applauded performances lies the authentic self, a child yearning for recognition, yet denied its voice and expression. Hidden within this theatrical dance is the inner orphan, a shadowed figure representing the unheard and unseen facets of our psyche. It dwells in the dim alcoves not out of choice, but out of a compelling necessity, a defensive bastion against rejection, criticism, and the inevitable harshness of existence. The identities crafted in our formative years, though a testament to resilience, are often rooted in the external validation of others rather than an authentic self-understanding. As we journey into adulthood, these echoes of childhood performances linger on, invisibly guiding us, often disrupting the path to genuine self-discovery and fulfillment. It is only by peeling away these layers of protection that we can access our vulnerabilities, tapping into the profound strength they conceal, thus stepping onto the path of remembering the orphan within. The inner orphan is not just a metaphor. It is a reflection of the human journey, encompassing parts of ourselves left unacknowledged in the tender years of our lives. It is a reservoir of emotion, carrying the weight of forgotten dreams, hushed fears, and potentialities stifled. In awakening this orphaned self, we find ourselves on a journey that requires courage. The courage to confront our abandoned dreams and face the uncomfortable truths of our existence. Though the path is fraught with discomfort, leaning into this discomfort paves the way for healing and reclamation. It is within this courageous embrace that we uncover not resistance but acceptance, taking the first tentative steps towards a more integrated and authentic existence. Emotions, the language of the inner orphan, lie dormant, cocooned within layers of neglect and disengagement. These are whispers of longing etched into the silence, a frozen river waiting for the gentle warmth of spring to release its currents. Individuals oscillate between raw sensitivity and a protective numbness, unaware of the rich emotional life sealed beneath the frozen surface. Engaging with these dormant emotions requires dismantling the barriers that encase them, inviting a compassionate inquiry into the landscape of what we feel. By daring to sit quietly with these emotions, we welcome a thawing, a tender awakening, allowing them to flow unjudged and unfettered. This release fosters a deeper emotional literacy, turning dormant isolation into a revitalized spectrum of feelings. To hear the call of authenticity is to listen beyond the demanding chorus of societal expectations, to sense the quiet murmur of the inner orphan who longs for truth and liberation. Authenticity is a gradual homecoming to oneself, a return to congruence between our inner snippets of truth and outer expression. It is a brave shedding of adaptive masks, revealing the unvarnished essence of who we truly are. This journey toward authenticity is not merely a solitary pursuit, but a reclamation, a reassertion of personal sovereignty. It invites radical self-acceptance and births harmony within, fostering genuine connection with others through mutual vulnerability and recognition. The orphan finds its voice, crafting a new narrative of presence and visibility. Yet, there exists a chasm within, a divide separating who we believe we should be from who we truly are. To bridge this divide requires a gentle, profound engagement with oneself, illuminating the path of self-reflection and compassionate inquiry. This journey unfolds not through forced reinvention, but through nurturing awareness, meeting the inner orphan with curiosity and empathy. In healing this rift, the performative self seeds space for authenticity to bloom, weaving all facets of our being into a coherent whole. As we engage in this internal dialogue, we assemble a richer, more integrated view of self, reconciling contradictions and nurturing a unity that bridges the shadows of separation. Within us, the inner orphan remains unseen and unheard, yearning for acknowledgement, representing the unadorned aspects of self once dismissed. These elements, deemed unfit or undesired by external demands, demand light. Recognizing this orphan is an act of compassionate rediscovery, a validation of worth that breathes life into chapters rewritten or misplaced. This honoring of hidden dimensions reshapes our internal narrative, bringing depth and authenticity to our life story. In the tender embrace of vulnerability, we find the strength to acknowledge our longing for connection, acceptance, and love. Vulnerability bridges the unseen fears to revealed courage, forging a path where emotional authenticity can emerge. The inner orphan, once relegated to the shadows, begins to emerge into the light. Within this courageous surrender lies not weakness, but the power to welcome the orphan into our narrative, claiming its rightful place within the continuum of selfhood. Through exploration and reintegration, the orphan, once perceived as a burden, reveals itself as a trove of empathy, creativity, and insight, gifts born from transformative resilience. Thus, the journey toward integration brings the inner orphan into the fold, spinning threads of wholeness from whispered fragments, ensuring that the child within never truly left, but was silently awaiting its moment of acknowledgement and homecoming. In the quiet recesses of adulthood, where silence grows thick and the noise of the day recedes, echoes of a childhood not entirely outgrown reemerge, soft, yet piercing in their lucidity. These echoes are not memories varnished with age, but living relics, twin specters that weave through the fabric of present consciousness. The unmet needs of early years, gentle cries for validation, belonging, and safety, often surface as struggles with self-worth, anxiety, and a relentless inner critic. Like whispers carried on an ancient breeze, the soul recalls stories untold, replaying them, seeking a resolution forever just out of reach. In moments of vulnerability, when the armor of adulthood becomes transparent, the orphaned child beneath is revealed. A dialogue unfolds between past and present voices, grown-up responsibilities meshing uneasily with the inner child's unresolved fears and desires. To navigate these echoes, one must embrace compassionate self-awareness, recognizing that these responses are not mere flaws, but adaptations of necessity. Each emotional whisper, each piercing reminder, beckons the adult to embark on a journey of healing and integration, urging a reunion with the child's voice that still seeks solace. Adult relationships, too, often become landscapes where the shadows of the inner orphan extend their reach. Those we draw close, and the patterns we repeat, serve as mirrors reflecting unmet childhood longings. What seems to be love or companionship often hides beneath layers of emotional remnants from youthful terrains traversed in the heart. The dynamics of overgiving, craving validation, or the fear of abandonment trace their roots back to a psyche seeking the warmth of stability and affection. Partners stand as both allies and challengers, unconsciously participating in the reenactment of childhood scripts, where silent wounds seek healing not through words, but through profound emotional echoes. Perfectionism emerges then as a delicate mask, an intricate defense crafted from childhood threads, a barrier that shields tender spots of shame, inadequacy, or fear of disapproval. It purports control and competence, but is an exhausting imperative that encloses the child's self-esteem within an illusion. In this relentless pursuit, perfectionism leans on the fallacy of conditional worth, a belief that love and belonging depend on flawless achievement. Beneath this mask, the child remains vigilant, every misstep magnified into a crisis. Embracing inherent worth over external validation invites a gentle unveiling. Acknowledging the beauty within imperfection, anxiety becomes a discreet messenger from the hidden depths where the inner child dwells. Its voice, a signal of unaddressed fears, and echoes from the past into the present. It urges the listener to pause and delve deeper into the emotional streams that run beneath. Anxiety's shadow reminds us of long-perceived dangers and abandoned fears, inviting not rejection but understanding. By tuning in, rather than battling this signal, one can commence a compassionate dialogue, recognizing anxiety as a guide leading toward reconciliation and the elusive embrace of peace. Likewise, the persistent inner critic emerges from unmet needs, manifesting the voices of criticism and judgment once absorbed, but now internalized. This critic doesn't malign out of spite, but from an enduring attempt to shield, maintaining control over an uncertain world by upholding unrealistic standards. As adults, there lies the opportunity to temper this voice from one of critique to guidance, understanding its origins and dismantling its power with loving intentionality. This refashioned voice fosters nurturing and opens a doorway to internal reconciliation. Through emotional flashbacks, sudden surges of feeling carrying us back to formative moments, the inner orphan makes its presence known. Unlike visual memories, these are raw, emotional currents, transporting the self to earlier vulnerabilities. While disempowering, these floods offer a chance to transcend victimhood by embracing the past. Mindful engagement with these tides allows gentle guidance toward reconciliation, uplifting the spirit and forging a path to integration. In the heart of every adult lies a longing seated in the inner orphan's dreams of connection, a quest not just for community, but for acceptance of one's wholeness. Early feelings of exclusion echo into adulthood, coloring perceptions with fears of invisibility. True belonging, however, roots itself in self-acceptance. When the adult embraces the orphan within, fostering internal wholeness, the external need for validation softens, allowing for genuine connections and an internal peace, transcending external spaces. At the intersection of power and vulnerability stands a new understanding. The inner orphan learned to view vulnerability as a threat, yet authentic power resides in revealing vulnerabilities, not obliterating them. By embracing these echoes, authority is reclaimed, and a balance is restored where both vulnerability and power coexist, enriching empathy and connection. Reflecting upon the past with kind lenses does not seek to chain us, but to understand and transform its influence. Revisiting becomes an act of courage, not residing in old narratives, but forging new paths from understanding. Through patience and empathy, old beliefs can be released, creating space for growth. Here, the past becomes wisdom, a bedrock where resilience and an empowered spirit harmonize. Awakening to wholeness is both an end and a new beginning, a realization that the adult, the orphan, and existence itself weave a tapestry of experiences, It is the unveiling of a state that always was, lovingly witnessed amid self-doubt's clamor. This awakening, this completeness, carries no rush but simmers gently like an ancient mist, where love, in its infinite dance, serenely unfolds a narrative of unity, healing, and infinite beginnings. In the vast and silent landscapes of the psyche, there exists a sacred space where time seems to pause, a place where the whispers of a long-forgotten child echo softly. This is a sanctuary of stillness, a realm not of silence alone, but a canvas where unspoken secrets quietly rise to the surface. Here, the incessant chatter of adult responsibilities and anxieties dissolve, revealing an untouched vista where fragments of childhood dreams sleep beneath the moonlight of introspection. In this serene silence, the first tender murmurings of the child within emerge, asking once more to be seen and understood. To truly listen to this delicate and hesitant voice, one must enter a space of warmth and openness, a gentle surrender to the voyage of inner reconnection. It is here that the unexpressed can breathe, free from the shackles of adult interpretation or control. Such conscious surrender invites us to honor the weight of unuttered words and feelings, once too perilous to expose. In this unfolding dialogue, we bravely challenge years of learned aversion to vulnerability, inviting in the voice that has yearned silently for acknowledgement. As shadows creep into this still sanctuary, we find they are not monstrous beings lurking in darkness, but companions walking alongside us, birthed from the light of our awareness. Every shadow is a guardian of truths, longing for light. To meet the lost child, we must embrace these shadows as friends, not foes, recognizing them as markers of the light within us. They hold the profound stories of lonely afternoons, of misunderstood moments when the child stood unnoticed beneath the sun, yet danced wildly in hidden corners unseen. In exploring this interplay of light and shadow, the concept of shadow integration gently guides us, unraveling the threads of our identity. We gently untwist inherited fears and learned suppressions, welcoming these shadowed memories as pathways to self-compassion. Here, we step lightly into the psyche's recesses, breaking free from established patterns. And in doing so, the lost child's voice begins to hum a familiar song, a tune of being noticed and stepping back into the light. Amidst the nighttime symphony, dreams float across our consciousness, draping us in a vivid language known only to the inner child. Each dream is a bridge, a tapestry where narratives unfold, unconfined by the logic of the waking world. These nocturnal visions are woven with symbols richer than words, allowing the child to express its heart, speaking deeply in the tongues of desire and fear. In entering this dream realm, we become gentle interpreters, seeking patterns and meanings that resonate emotionally. We might find, in a recurring dream of losing one's way, a deeper plea from the child's self, a whispered call for guidance. Maintaining a dream journal offers a key to insights, illuminating the mysterious world where the lost child resides. As we record and reflect upon these ethereal tapestries, we grant them substance, weaving together the scattered threads of the lost child's story into the nights, and allowing them to glimmer beneath the stars. Yet, fear and shame often guard this pathway to the child's heart, masking as seemingly insurmountable barriers. These emotions, guardians of tender innocence, are remnants of moments when vulnerability faced danger or ridicule. Sometimes feared as adversaries, they ask us not to confront but to embrace them. As their veils lift, we recognize them as heralds of deeper stories. Fear retelling what the child once dreaded, shame murmuring times when the spirit felt unworthy. Through gentle exploration, fear and shame soften, revealing the child who only desires to be comforted. They transform from oppressive forces into wise companions with whom we travel gently, learning valuable lessons and nurturing the tender shoot of self-compassion. In turning towards these emotions, curiosity supplants disdain, allowing the timeless echoes of the child's experiences to be heard, understood, and transmuted into healing's tender embrace. We need to recognize now that vulnerability is a powerful strength, an honest invitation to the self. It requires courage to stand uncloaked, yet this exposure leads to authentic connection. By allowing fragility to guide us, the inner child discovers its voice. In vulnerability, we create safe spaces for open dialogues, signaling a trust that the stories and feelings of the child are worthy of tender attention. As the adult loosens its rigid hold, vulnerability invites fluidity, allowing the child to emerge with clear resonance. This beautiful dance of openness cultivates gentle exploration, a testament to resilience found in human fragility. Embracing vulnerability, we step into a place of strength, where the child within is welcome to co-author the journey, no longer a hidden whisper, but a celebrated note in the symphony of life. And lastly, it is in the somatic language spoken by the body where these threads find their continuity. Through mindful practices like yoga or therapeutic touch, we uncover layers that intertwine the conscious with the enduring echoes of the child's essence. Here, healing extends beyond mind's corridors into the primal arena of sensation, leaning into the body's tale of quiet resilience. As these sensations manifest, they unfold the stories held within, waiting for compassionate acknowledgement. By respecting the body as a guiding ally, we cultivate a pathway of trust and belonging where the lost child can gently reside. In this vibrant unity of mind, body, and spirit, the child at last finds solace, a gentle reminder that wholeness has been quietly waiting all along, ready to embrace both past and present, and thus the child finds their way home. In the quiet recesses of our being, an ancient figure stirs, the sacred parent, a gentle guardian woven from the sinews of compassion and deep-seated wisdom. This is not a figure of legend, but an archetypal presence found within the folds of our own psyche. It carries no shield or spear, yet wields the formidable might of tenderness, patience, and an unwavering commitment to restoration. Much like a night sky that swaddles the earth in its starry cloak, the sacred parent envelops our neglected parts, ready to nurture and heal what was once misunderstood. This guardian's emergence is not a mere flight of imagination. Rather, it is a visceral experience, a reawakening that demands attention to the whispers of our inner landscape. It's the ineffable peace found in trusting these whispers, the comforting hand that guides us toward a sanctuary built from within. In listening closely, the dialogue with our own heart renews itself, sowing seeds of self-compassion that bloom into an authentic reunion with the self we may have long forgotten. Each step on this path fortifies a nurturing communion, allowing healing to arise naturally. Each interaction with our inner world, a salve for the soul. Reparenting then finds its rhythm, crafting structure from strands of tenderness rather than steel. This sacred architecture doesn't confine, but liberates, offering a sturdy ground upon which safety and exploration can coexist, entwining like dancers beneath the moon. Boundaries take form, born not from external demands, but from an intimate understanding of our deepest values and dreams. These guides lead us, transforming the cacophony of unchecked emotions into a rich tapestry of lived experience, a gentle framing where stability and freedom dance hand in hand. In this space, we learn to balance bending without breaking, held upright by a newfound trust in our ability to face life's ebb and flow. Under the sacred parent's tender gaze, emotional literacy becomes both a map and compass. It is an unfolding story, charting the origins and destinies of our emotions, each feeling a note in the symphony of our being. Through this lens of awareness, emotions once perceived as shadows morph into allies, providing insight and nurturing creativity. In this engagement, we articulate our needs with clarity, forging connections steeped in authenticity and empathy. The vulnerable is honored, not dismissed, allowing emotions, including stormy tempests and serene currents, to all find their place in the narrative of our existence. Validation then rises as a cornerstone, a transformative acknowledgement that honors our truth without judgment or alteration. It truly sees the varied strata of our experience, dismantling walls of shame and self-criticism erected over time. In this space of unfettered acceptance, our story finds its voice, gentle echoes of vulnerability turning into resonant shouts of strength. The sacred parent's validation fortifies this sanctuary, creating a harbor where the once meek voice can sing its song without fear or reproach. The sacred parent also dons the role of protector, employing boundaries as a form of gentle armor. These are not walls, but permeable sanctuaries that define our values and articulate our limits with grace. Like a seasoned gardener, we learn when to say yes to nourishing experiences and no to those that sap our strength. In this practice, we honor our sovereignty, asserting that our peace and energy are treasures to be cherished. With each boundary articulated, a delicate balance is maintained, nurturing relationships anchored in mutual respect and compassion. Through mythic caregiving, the sacred parent embarks on a most alchemical journey, transmuting the lead of our pain into wisdom's gold. This process, akin to a gentle dance, unfolds in everyday acts of self-kindness, each gesture weaving a new thread into our evolving identity. Engaging deeply with our own shadows, we foster a self-love so profound it embraces both light and shadow as intrinsic partners in our shared humanity. Guided by our inner guardian, each ritual, be it a silent meditation or a creative flourish, becomes a sacred offering towards ongoing transformation. Emotional intelligence, intricately woven into this mythic caregiving narrative, enhances our capacity to engage feelings with nuanced sensitivity. It nudges us toward empathy, acknowledging not just our emotional waves, but theirs, the underlying currents beneath perceptions. This intertwining empowers us to navigate the complex dance of interaction, inviting transformation as we orbit around the sun of understanding and insight. In this convergence, emotional alchemy becomes a pulsing endeavor, birthing clarity and purpose. Notably, the sacred parent honors the natural cycle of emergence and retreat, akin to the gentle ebb and flow of tides. In this cyclic journey, we embrace periods of introspective solace as integral to our psychological and emotional resilience. Time to reflect and then bloom anew. Our inner guardian understands the wisdom in rhythms, granting us space for renewal amid dormancy and encouraging the forge of growth while in stillness. As we integrate this rich inner tapestry, the sacred parent guides us toward a harmonious wholeness, each disparate thread woven into a coherent narrative. Acceptance becomes our wisdom, transforming diversity into harmonious cohesion and linking the myriad voices within into a single chorus. We are reminded that in welcoming all facets of self, we find true belonging within our skin. This tender reunion between sacred parent and inner child is the epitome of reparenting, a dance of love and acknowledgement, bridging past and present parts of the self. Here, the orphaned pieces are finally sheltered, enfolded in compassion's embrace. As the past reshapes into a new narrative, grounded in worth and dignity, the child's innate vulnerability finds safe harbor, and the story of self-worth becomes one rooted in enduring, transformative love. In the realm of our emotional landscapes, boundaries emerge not as cold barricades, but as tender gestures of love. Far from being mere lines drawn in the sand, they become the gentle contours that shape a sacred haven where authenticity can dance. As we lay them down with intention and empathy, they softly reassure our inner child that it is listened to, that it is safe to unfurl its wings. Society's chatter might paint boundaries as selfish veneers of rejection, yet with the wisdom of the heart, they transform into affirmations of dignity and self-worth. Here, the inner orphan learns a silent hymn that whispers, "I protect what is sacred in me." The absence of such boundaries weaves chaos into our lives, stirring emotional tempests that leave the spirit exposed and weary. Yet, when we craft these emotional contours, we create sanctuaries for the soul, spaces carved for tender introspection and healing. Boundaries, in their quiet fortitude, lay the groundwork for psychological repair, fortifying the fragments of our hidden selves with the grace of acknowledgement. In this space of quiet reflection, the shadows of the past dissolve, revealing a sanctuary, a soft refuge where healing becomes an act of tender inevitability. Setting boundaries is an art form, a profound expression of self-respect that cultivates the soil wherein identity takes root and flourishes. This act nourishes the soul, bathing it in validation and empowering it to speak its truths without fear of judgment. Here, the inner child finds a sanctuary where its vulnerabilities are met with understanding, and its voice is celebrated with tender reverence. These lines we draw not to confine, but to liberate, offering the burgeoning spirit freedom to explore its cherished potential. In the gentle art of saying no, we brush away the lingering wisps of guilt and the shadowy specters of fear that have long haunted the inner landscape. Reparenting the inner orphan requires embracing refusal not as an act of defiance, but as an expression of self-preservation. Each no offered up becomes a ritual of love, a promise to honor one's own boundaries without hesitation. In this liberating realization, the child within discovers that true affection does not demand self-abandonment. The gift of refusal nurtures the delicate balance between giving and receiving, where each act of preservation becomes a sacred dance of self-compassion. Boundaries become the psychological safety nets enveloping the tenderest parts of our being, guarding them against emotional turbulence. They act as soft buffers, crafting realms of tranquility wherein inner voices can rise without fear and whispered dreams find their echoes. Here, the orphan within learns to navigate shadowy memories with courage, allowing wounds to breathe within protective embrace as they metamorphose into wisdom. Through boundary crafting, we discover the path to emotional sovereignty, a realm where the spirit governs its states with serene autonomy. The child's odyssey toward emotional mastery unfurls within these sacred lines, offering both sanctuary and freedom. Boundaries, in their layered beauty, not only shield, but also teach the sweet art of responding rather than reacting. This dance of sovereignty becomes a testament to self-love, an assertion of the right to flourish unhindered, shaping an eternal realm of peace. The creation of boundaries is deeply entwined with the dynamics of power, prompting a gentle reclamation of self. In tracing these boundaries, the inner orphan, once a captive to external expectations, finds a path to autonomy. The child learns to articulate its needs with a quiet yet firm voice, weaving respect and balance into every interaction. Each boundary becomes an affirmation of presence and a tender challenge to any imbalance, inviting relationships to blossom in mutual respect. The relationship between boundaries and self-worth becomes an undeniable symphony of growth and affirmation. As the inner child lays down its limits, it recognizes its value in these sacred lines, no longer seeking validation beyond its own heart. In this space of self-regard, the child embarks on a journey of discovery, where self-worth blossoms from scarcity to abundance. With each boundary sketched, the soul carves out sacred space for exploration and expression, nurturing authenticity in its wake. In the gentle art of boundary making, the scars of the past find balm and breath. Wounds born of neglect and misunderstanding soften in the light of newfound delineation. As we weave sacred space around our tender hearts, the past does not vanish, but it transforms, a chrysalis that unfurls to reveal lessons and strength. In this act of healing, boundaries become the sculptors of our stories, shaping paths that transcend pain and whisper tales of resilience and renewal. This legacy of boundary crafting is woven into the tapestry of personal evolution, a chorus softly guiding the child toward self-discovery. Each boundary penned becomes a step along a sacred path, inviting the soul to dance freely toward its authentic self. Boundaries, gentle yet firm, frame our personal evolution, urging the child to partake in its own becoming, to find fulfillment and resilience in the embrace of its inherent worth. Herein lies the magic of boundary making, a perpetual act of creation where the child, embraced by its own tender lines, discovers an eternal realm of unity and joy. In the quiet sanctuary of your thoughts, the whisper of ink against paper becomes a tender dialogue between the self and its origins. Journaling, far beyond a mere act, unfolds as an invitation to embrace the whispers of your inner child, offering a space where words flow, unburdened by the constraints of the external world. This sacred ritual finds its form in the pages of a journal, a personal sanctuary where the fragments of your experiences coalesce into something profoundly whole. Here, beneath layers of obligation and expectation, the overlooked narratives of your past emerge, demanding acknowledgement and reconciliation. Each stroke of the pen draws a bridge between who you were and who you are becoming, a path paved with self-compassion and healing. In the gentle alchemy of writing, buried perceptions rise to the surface, encouraging vulnerability not as a flaw, but as a pivot point for discovery. As thoughts untangle and settle into prose, hidden fears transform into forgotten joys, illuminated by self-awareness. Your journal becomes a vessel of understanding, where patterns reveal themselves and shadows dissipate, nurturing the abandoned parts of your soul in their quest for recognition. With eyes softly closed, the world dissolves into a landscape of internal imagery. Visualization, as an age-old conduit connecting conscious desire with subconscious depths, transports you to a meeting place with your inner child. In the quiet stillness of your mind, your younger self appears, vibrant and alive, embodying the dreams and fears of a time long past. Through imagined touch or heartfelt conversation, you foster a reunion with this delicate part. Assurances given, tender whispers exchanged. They lay the groundwork for a bond that guides the soul toward peace. In this dreamscape, you become both protector and companion, fortified by a unity that transcends time. As the session concludes, your mind gently returns to the present, cradling the serenity born of this ethereal encounter. Regular practice weaves threads of understanding through your psyche, binding old wounds with newfound resilience, crafting an intricate tapestry of healing. Amid life's cacophony, silence stands as an intuitive guide, leading you into the still depths of introspection. It is here, in the absence of sound, that the essence of authenticity paints its true masterpiece. Amidst this calm, the inner child finds refuge, far from the dissonance of the day. Detached from expectation, you sit or recline, eyes softly closed, attuned to the quiet rhythm of your breath, a gentle symphony of solitude. In this sanctuary of silence, overlooked emotions arise, assuming form in the unshadowed spaces of your mind. They emerge without demand for resolution, offering themselves instead to understanding. Over time, this practice reveals the landscape of your inner being, the whispered tales of forgotten dreams and neglected joys reverberating within. Silence becomes more than absence. It is the voice of the soul, a balm for the fractious storms within. Through acts of symbolic ritual, the tangible world embraces the mysteries of the heart. Physical gestures, lighting a candle or placing a cherished relic, embody complex emotions and transform intangible aspirations into sensory truths. Such symbols anchor transformation, their resonance felt deep within. Each intentional gesture encapsulates change, marking an evolution of self. Planting a seed, righting and relinquishing self-doubt, these are rites that forge new paths within your mind, dissolving the confines of old patterns. Through repetition, these acts chart a course of resilience, imprinting fresh paths grounded in compassion. Symbolic rituals become sacred touchstones, recalling the promise of rebirth as the subconscious aligns with the conscious intent. Before a mirror, each word you utter becomes a balm to mend the hidden scars within. In this dialogue of reflection, the self acknowledges its worth. Through affirmations, spoken with sincerity and assurance, you construct a dialogue that transcends mere recitation, deepens connection, and radiates healing. As you speak, looking into the depth of your own gaze, empathy takes root, softening harsh self-judgments and transforming the critical into the nurturing. Over time, this practice evolves into a sacred conversation, fortifying the bridge between past pain and present acceptance, allowing the inner child the love they long have sought. In the deep embrace of night, footsteps trace a path through the mysteries of shadow and dream. Night walks become a pilgrimage, where movement and introspection intertwine. Through each step, the rhythm of the earth soothes the soul, and darkness wraps around you like a cloak. This journey unveils thoughts shrouded in daylight's glare, inviting exploration of the unlit corners of your being. As you wander, sounds and subtle shifts in light guide you into a dialogue with the world at rest. The inner child rediscovering freedom in the night, the adult self finding solace in the quiet. Together, they walk toward harmony, discovering authenticity in their shared path. In this nighttime embrace, intuition awakens, revealing wisdom in its soft epiphanies. Now, as the night lulls, stories softly spoken become bridges to understanding, where every tale whispers healing. Through memories and visions cast in poetic imagery, you weave the hero's journey of your own life, cherishing yourself as the protagonist. Soothed by these tales, conflict finds resolution, and themes of resilience and discovery echo into the depths of the soul, casting a gentle light on the path of self-reconnection. In this final act, sound itself becomes a tapestry, one that echoes through your being, allowing the music of your existence to be fully heard in the harmonious symphony of a reconciled self. In the soft hush of evening, when shadows weave stories upon the walls, there lies an art, the art of remembering. It whispers that wholeness is not a destination but a hidden truth, ever present beneath the surface of our survival masks. This journey we embrace to reacquaint ourselves with the authentic self is not about discovering something lost, but rather unveiling what has always existed. Each path we tread is a gentle unveiling, revealing that the fragments we believed lost have always lingered, quietly awaiting our gentle touch. This remembering is not a voyage back to nostalgia, but a delicate excavation of truths buried beneath layers of time and unexamined experience. Beneath adult pragmatism lies the childlike essence, gently speaking through our choices, a voice often silenced but never extinguished. In the act of remembering, we cultivate a tender curiosity, coaxing these forgotten dreams and emotions to swim into consciousness once more. For the inner orphan did not truly vanish. It waited patiently, a vibrant presence longing for acknowledgement as life spirals back towards the self. Our pilgrimage of healing through reparenting unfolds not on a straight path, but along cycles and spirals, each loop bringing renewed insight. As we tread these ancient cycles, familiar themes and emotions greet us like old companions, teaching us anew with each encounter. We find that returning to the core is a continual rediscovery, each visit bathing in deeper compassion, transforming pain into enduring strength. This cyclical dance teaches us that wholeness is not an endpoint, but a beautiful renewal, echoing nature's rhythms as endings meld into beginnings. We learn that our inner orphan's reemergence is not a singular event, but a profound dialogue between past and present selves. With each spiral, an old wound reveals fresh truths, drawing us ever closer to a self that never ceased to exist. Each layer peeled unveils our intrinsic authenticity, unearthing an ever-present wholeness. At the heart of this journey is the deep recognition that love is our essence. Beyond the barriers of conditioning lies a boundless reservoir of compassion, an innate kindness that does not fall prey to transient expectations. Excavating the layers of fear and judgment clears a path to this untouched love, an authentic state of being. As we embrace this core of love, it transforms how we relate, not as transactional unions shackled by conditions, but as transcendent connections. When love is our nature, we dismantle the armor that isolates us, allowing our inner orphan to find solace in this boundless embrace. The realization dawns like first light upon a quiet lake, that we were never truly abandoned, yet always enfolded in love's enduring presence. Communicating with our inner orphan is a delicate weaving of understanding and integration. By inviting suppressed parts to speak, we build bridges to healing and unity. In this sacred space, the child's fear finds validation, its dreams a nurturing ground. This conversation, far from a fleeting moment, evolves with empathy's steady patience. In dialogue, the inner orphan asks questions enriched by a wisdom often dismissed by pragmatic adulthood. These sacred inquiries open gateways to vulnerability and raw emotions, vital energies that anchor us in authenticity. As we learn to listen, our connection with an unwavering selfhood reawakens. This dialogue between fragments of the self, past and present, fosters an unbreakable bond with innocence long believed lost. Out of this dialogue emerges the profound act of forgiveness, a liberation that frees not just those who've harmed us, but ensnares us in chains of bitterness. By releasing anger, we create room for peace and self-compassion. Forgiveness, a practice that includes ourselves, acknowledges the decisions of our inner orphan, offerings born from survival. This journey of self-forgiveness is paved by understanding. We embrace imperfection with grace, stepping into our humanity's fullness. As forgiveness cycles through us, it spirals toward profound self-acceptance, each turn bringing deeper insight. Our exploration of wholeness intertwined with shadow is the work of Jungian integration. Acknowledging these less admirable aspects draws us toward a balanced understanding. It's not about eradicating darkness, but allowing its lessons to shed light upon the paths we haven't traveled. This dance with shadow and light offers a nearly complete picture of self, crafting a creative synthesis that is both whole and authentic. Through reshaping stories, we embrace our empowerment, moving from victimhood to sovereignty. We weave past experiences into a cohesive fabric, grounded in strength and resilience. A living narrative unfolds before us, a testament to our growth, echoing the truth that our identity is a story of becoming. Each chapter is an affirmation of the wholeness always within reach, a story waiting to be realized. Ultimately, this journey of inner discovery invites us into the present. Here, in the tranquility of now, We connect with every part of ourselves, balanced and aware. Practicing presence reveals a peace innate to our being, allowing moments of chaos to transform into life-learning experiences. When the orphan meets today's wisdom, it finds a steady home, whole and complete within this living moment. As we tenderly cradle self-discovery, self-compassion lights our path. It asks us to treat ourselves with the same empathy offered to a cherished friend. Through this nurturing lens, we acknowledge our struggles, seeing them as part of humanity. We extend this kindness, transforming self-criticism into care, allowing the inner orphan to finally experience acceptance. The journey culminates in understanding. By nurturing the inner orphan, we return to innate wholeness. We discover not a constructed self, but a reunion with what always was. In self-awareness and compassion, we realize our unity with all parts. With gentle understanding, we draw together, acknowledging our sacred journey. As we embrace this found wholeness, may we continue the endless rediscovery of home inside ourselves, cradled in love as the lullaby hums softly into the shadows. If you found this reflection meaningful, we invite you to like and subscribe for more such journeys into the depths of the soul.